Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a short little knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Migron small Geddon, because it is smaller than the original Getdon, which is an absolute hulking monster. Basically, they took the knife and made a much more carryable version of it, and charged less money for it. So if you like overbuilt knives, but you don't like them quite as overbuilt as the original Getdon, this might be for you. It is definitely available. It is super nice, and I'm going to talk about it real quick here. I'll link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get a quick measurement here. It is the Getdon. It's just a little bit smaller, so it doesn't really require much of, like a super complicated review. Still 8 1/4 inches, so not a small knife by any stretch of the imagination. This is full size. Your blade length is 3.75, and your cutting edge is 3.5 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom skills you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others, up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur. You can see here, it's pretty big. It's not quite, it's like a 1/4 inch shorter than these guys, but it's still way, way thicker. We'll get to that measurement here, but you can see the blade stock up against either of these guys. I mean, it absolutely dwarfs them. So this is still definitely a chunky boy. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3, still huge. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Group Cylinder, in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? It's really good. The Getdon itself, I mean, for an overbuilt knife, right? If you're comparing it to a standard pocket knife, a lot of people would find this maybe slightly more difficult to manipulate. I think it depends on who you are. Because the blade is so heavy and the thumb studs are so big, I find knives like this even more satisfying to deploy. But I can see how that might work against some people, especially if your fingers don't have an enormous amount of strength in them. Like, you can still reverse flick it really easily, given that you have all this access to this slot here. But yeah, like, deploying the knife is great. This guy came a little bit tight and it's still breaking in. I can actually hear the detemp ball like on the blade face. I think a drop of 10 weight nano oil would probably speed that process up, but either way, it will wear that race in to the blade face, and not only will you stop hearing that so much, the action will actually get smoother and smoother and smoother. As of right now, it's basically nearing fall shut because the blade is so heavy. So that's my best description of it. I'll let you do what you will with that. Let's go and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's huge. I mean, let's do thickness up against the original Getdon, right? So here's the original. This is the big. It's still available too. It's the same thing, 50 bucks more. The original is way thicker, right? We didn't really do the size comparison up against the original Getdon. That would probably be super helpful. So here it is. It's like minus 20%. It's like a 20% scale down or something like that, somewhere in that department. So yeah. Anyways, let's do length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. So this was fun to carry because I like overbuilt knives, and I found it to be way more comfortable. Like, this knife is just too big for me to carry. Like, it's fun, but it's too big. This is still big, and I can carry it, but it is still, I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, it's now EDC friendly. No, it's still gigantic, right? But the amount of space it takes up this way is not so crazy. It's going to be the thickness and the weight that's going to bother you. So some people will find this totally fine. Other people will be like, it's still absolutely monstrous. It's not going to work. This was fun. I'll be honest though. I personally could not dedicate to carrying something like this. I know plenty of you could. I can't. This is going to be a little bit too big for me. The weight on this guy is coming in at 7.6 ounces, which is nowhere near the 11 ounces that the original Getdon weighs, but it's still a lot of ounces. We do have milling on the inside for weight reduction, so that's nice. But yeah, it's still a very big object. Blade stock thickness here, I believe this guy is still 1/4 inch thick, right? So they have reduced this down to the size of the Praetorian tie. Not the T, the tie. They actually reduced this knife down to the same blade stock thickness as the Praetorian tie from Medford, the one that's so famous for being so thick. Yeah, that's what's funny is like this small version is like they had to, that's what we're comparing to, right? That's a wider knife, but I mean, we're really looking at, you know, the same blade stock thickness. It's crazy. And very nearly the same thickness of titanium. Let's go and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So I believe all of the hardware, even the pocket clip screws, yeah, are T8. Yes, T8. Now the screw here for the pivot is a T10. Yes, actually, hold on. It might even be bigger. It might be a T15. That is a T15. Thank you. What is it on the Getdon? Is it a T15 on the Getdon? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. So very, very easy to take apart and put back together. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. There's not really a lot here in terms of disassembly. So very, very easy. This knife runs on bearings, obviously. So moving on to the meat and potatoes. Does it still give you that sense of, you know, because it's a big meaty knife? Yeah, absolutely. This feel like if you were to hand this to somebody and give them no context for the Getdon or the Arma or what, they would be like, oh my God, this is a ridiculous pocket knife. For a lot of people, this would be the thickest pocket knife that they had ever seen by a long shot. This, handed to anyone, is going to be described as a huge knife. So, do not mistake the title or the listing. It is not small. It is gigantic. I have this theory that putting the word small in any listing or Amazon listing or any retailer listing or any YouTube video, anything to do with social media or SEO, I think the word small it pushes people away from. There are people who look for small pocket knives, but I feel like the majority of people are not looking for small pocket knives, and that word seems to push people away. So I wish that they would come up with a different. That's just a theory. I could be completely wrong. I noticed that a lot of my content, when the word small is in it, people don't watch it. It could just be the viewers that this channel has attracted, which is very possible. That the people who watch my channel just don't like small pocket knives, right? But I feel like that might be the case. The full-size stuff seems to sell better than the regular or the small stuff with a lot of models. But again, I am essentially a window washer. I have the window washer's perspective in a niche community. So, it might not mean anything. Ergonomically, this is very comfortable. You're still holding onto a lot of material, but that material it's contoured, it's textured. I love the texturing that Migron does. It's so beautiful. Chamfering around the edges. It's honestly a super duper comfortable knife. The fit and finish on this knife is also great. Migron does an excellent job. I have zero issues. I believe they are still hitting their M390 to... I think it's 60 plus. It's hard to remember what every single company's doing. I feel like I just read it. It says 60 plus or minus 1, so I think it's 59 to 61. I wish that they'd bump up and go 60 to 62, but okay, whatever. This is coated, so it's more likely that their coated blades are going to be on the lower end of that spectrum, and their uncoated blades are on the higher end of that spectrum, given that the coated blades reduce the range by 1 point. In any case, this is a compound blade, so we have a hollow grind initially, and then the secondary grind out by the tip is flat. Can it slice? Kind of. It's pretty thick behind the edge. Like obviously if you catch the paper just right, you can. But you can see here that the paper is sort of tearing versus slicing. Now, we could get the edge super duper crazy sharp, and I've used it a little bit, right? And then you could have that smooth cut on paper. Whatever. I mean, if you wanted to, you could make it sharp. It's the wedge that you're pushing through the material, as I always say. It doesn't matter how sharp that cutting edge is. If you take this and something like the Opinel 8 and you break down a cardboard box, that Opinel will always feel like it's making the job easier because you're pushing a much thinner piece of material through the cardboard, right? Or whatever it is that you're cutting. So, we can make up whatever we want in our heads about durability of geometry and all of that. And probably there are some circumstantial things or ways that you could use this knife where this robust, crazy geometry would come in handy versus a pocket knife that has a thinner, more delicate tip or edge or whatever. Sure. Most of the time, though, using a knife as a cutting tool, it means that you want the cut to be as easy as possible, and the thicker geometry simply makes the vast majority of those tasks more cumbersome. That's just the reality of it. So you are over encumbering yourself with an overly heavy knife so that when you perform cutting tasks, they are not as easy as they would be with more optimized cutting tools. But for most people who buy this stuff, most people who are going to pay for this already know that. The people who try to educate everybody, either me, just creating a video, or people who don't actually buy this stuff. People who are buying like $50 knives will be like, don't you guys know that the cutting geometry is not right? Yeah, everybody who's made it to this point, like climbed the ladder to the point where they're buying $300 overbuilt pocket knives, has gotten far past the basic tutorial of the knife world, which is learning about basic cutting geometry and, your cost efficiency when it comes to the tool that you're using and how much you paid for it and what you do with it, all of that. Like we've been through that, right? So these are being made intentionally for, they're fun. They're super high quality products. They're made well. They definitely, can be functional. But they're being created for a niche community within a niche community. And I don't think there's anybody who's overly confused by this. But if there are people who are confused, that's why we do these videos, right? Just so everybody knows. But anyways, the blade is actually DLC coated, which is very cool. DLC coating, one of the most durable. I mean, they used to be the only super durable coating. Not the only one anymore. There's some other stuff coming out. But DLC, definitely incredibly scratch resistant, and also it adds additional corrosion resistance to the blade. This blade is already a stainless blade, given that it is M390, so you have additional corrosion resistance on top of that. Their satin DLC looks great. I think they did an awesome job. I wish that they would do a polished one, like kind of what Kaiser does. I think that would be neat. But it does look good with this sort of gray, like this battleship gray titanium. You do have a little lanyard thing back here. Big fat backspacer. You have a pocket clip that rides on top of a bald spot. That's cool. No lefty mounting position. Migron. Left-handed people would love to buy your knives. You should make more left-handed knives. There is a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. Lockout. Completely and totally solid stop pin in its typical spot, and it is oversized as it should be. Plenty of shouldering. No blade play up, down, left to right. No lock stick. No pivot lash. Kind of tight, but it'll get there. Really good detent, and we are perfectly centered. This knife is $305. Do I think that's a reasonable price? For a pocket knife, if you are looking for a utilitarian pocket knife, and that's your only criteria, no, good Lord, buy something that costs like $30. The QSP Penguin is great. If you are actually wanting to compare apples to apples, what do we compare this with? Other Chinese knives that are, by the way, this is made in China. Other Chinese knives that are made out of titanium and M390, that's hardly a good comparison. People always try to do that, and then they leave out the fact that you're looking at a 1/4-inch blade stock of M390. You can make 3 knife blades out of this, right? Massively thick titanium. This is a big knife. It still absolutely qualifies as an overbuilt knife. But I don't value that stuff metal complex. That's fine. You don't have to, but it still adds cost. We have to factor that in. Up against other overbuilt knives that are in the same competition, like the same arena, right? We're talking about oversized titanium, contouring, texturing, premium manufacturing quality, manufacturing tolerances, DLC coated M390 blade at a 1/4 inch, right? If you have all of that stuff in there and you compare, where's their competition? Nobody. It's literally Migron. Migron makes the best priced premium overbuilt, and by overbuilt I just mean like overly thick materials. If you're specifically into that, and there are people who are specifically into that, Migron makes the least expensive, dollar for dollar, least expensive stuff. Now, if you're just looking for durability, because there's always some guy in the back screaming, cold steel, what about cold steel? Yeah, you can get a cold steel SR1 or SR whatever light for like $45, and it's a 1/5 of an inch thick, OS 8 and injection mold plastic. And honestly, the locking system is probably quite a bit more durable, given that it is a triad lock. So if you're just looking for durability or cost to durability ratio, sure. But that's, again, not really what we're looking at here. We're looking at for people who want the titanium and the M390, right? So there's a million different things you could compare this to, and I don't want to get lost in the weeds of that. But when I say that they make the least expensive overbuilt knives, I mean when we are talking about specifically the elements that I put in these parameters here. Premium, right? Titanium frame lock, thick materials, premium blade, DLC finish, optional, right? All that stuff. So for those people, do I recommend this as an overbuilt knife for people looking for the premium Chinese overbuilt knife? Well, yeah, because it's hard to find stuff that costs less that's really in the same arena. So yeah, for you, yes. For literally everybody else, no. But it is super cool. I love it. I'm probably going to keep this one in my collection. So very cool. Thanks so much to Migron for sending it in. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.